Okay, so we're basically swimming in numbers, right? Everywhere you look, news, social media, even at work, it's just this constant flood of data. But what if I told you there's a simple set of tools to make sense of it all? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're building that toolkit.
And let's be real for a second. You see a page like this, right? It's just crammed with tables and words like mean deviation, and your brain just kind of goes nope and checks out. I get it. It can look like a totally different language.
But here's the thing. It's not just a mess. I promise you it's not. Every single pile of data, every spreadsheet has a story hiding inside. You just need the right keys to unlock it. And today, we're going to make those keys.
So let's talk about finding that story. We're going to do it by building what I call your basic data toolkit. Think of it like a starter pack for becoming a data detective. And by the end of this, you'll have the tools you need to look at a set of numbers and actually see the meaning behind them. You ready? Let's get into it.
All right, so the first tools in our kit are all about finding the center of gravity for our data. You get this long list of numbers. What's a typical value? What's the one number that kind of represents the whole group? Turns out there are a few different ways to answer that.
First up, we've got the mean. And I bet you already know this one, even if you don't call it that. It's the average. It's what you're doing when you figure out your average grade on a test or the average temperature. It's a super powerful, super common place to start with any set of data.
And how you find it? It's so simple. Step 1, add up all the numbers. Just get the total. Step 2, divide that total by how many numbers you just added. That's it. That's your mean.
Okay, let's try it out. If we look at the data from question 22 in our source material, we've got this list of numbers, 12, 13, 17, a bunch more. So we just do our 2 steps. We add them all up, then we divide by how many numbers there are. And what do we get? A mean of 22.25. Boom. That's our first clue to what this data is telling us. Okay, next tool for the kit, the median. This one might actually be even easier. All you do is line up your numbers from smallest to biggest. The median is literally the one that's sitting right in the middle. So if you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, the one in the middle is 5. That's your median.
Here's the perfect way to picture it. Imagine you get everyone in a room to line up by height, from shortest to tallest. The median height isn't something you calculate. It's just the height of the person standing smack dab in the middle. Half the line is taller, half the line is shorter. Simple as that. And our third tool for finding the center? The mode. This one is, no joke, the easiest of them all. It's just the number that shows up the most. That's it. So if you're looking at shoe sizes and you see 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, well, the mode is 8. Why? Because it's the most popular one.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. It's kind of like a showdown, mean versus median. The mean, remember, is the average. And it's a bit sensitive. If you have one really high or low number, statisticians call it an outlier, it can yank the whole average way up or way down. Think about salaries, right? If you have 9 people making 50 grand and 1 billionaire in the room, the mean salary is going to be huge. It doesn't really represent what's typical. But the median doesn't care about that billionaire. It just looks at the person in the middle of the line. That's why it often gives you a much better picture of what's typical when you have those weird extreme values.
All right, so we've got a handle on finding the center of our data story. But that's really only chapter 1. The next big question is, how spread out is everything? Are all the numbers clustered super close to that center, or are they all over the map? To figure that out, we need our next set of tools.
And the easiest way to measure that spread is the range. Super simple. You just take the biggest number in your list and subtract the smallest number. Done. So if the highest temperature this week was 80 and the lowest was 60, the range is 20. It gives you a really fast snapshot of how wide your data is. So let's look at question 28 from our source. The highest value is 240. The lowest, 164. You do the math, and that gives us a range of 76. That one number tells you the entire playing field for this data. The whole story is happening somewhere within those 76 points.
Now, a slightly more advanced tool is called deviation. And look, don't worry about the complicated formulas here. Just get the idea. It's all about consistency. Imagine you have 2 archers. Both of them, on average, hit the bullseye, so their mean is the same. But one archer's arrows are all packed tightly right around the center. That's a small deviation. The other archer's arrows are all over the target. That's a large deviation. See? It's not just about the average. It's about how consistent you are around that average.
Okay, so we've got tools to find the center and tools to measure the spread. We have our toolkit.
Now for the fun part. Let's put it all together and use everything we've learned to crack a single problem. Let's zoom in on question 27. Now, the cool thing is, the source material already did all the heavy lifting. All the calculations are done, so our job is to be the detective, to use our new toolkit and figure out what these numbers are really telling us.
And this is where the story really comes to life. Check this out. The mean, the average, is 19.74. Okay, cool. But look at the median, the middle value. It's 21, which is higher. What does that tell us? It's a clue. It means there are probably some low scores that are dragging the average down. And then, get this, the mode, the most common value, is all the way up at 24.3. Isn't that fascinating? Any one of those numbers by itself tells you a tiny piece, but all three together, now you're starting to see the whole picture.
So, what's the big deal? Why does any of this matter? Because with just these simple tools, you're not just someone who looks at numbers anymore. You're someone who can question them, you can interpret them, you can understand what's really going on beneath the surface.
Think about it. In just the last few minutes, you've basically built your starter toolkit. You've got the mean, the average, the median, the middle, the mode, the most common. You've got the range, the spread, and you get the idea of deviation, the consistency. You know how to find the center, and you know how to understand the spread.
And really, that's the whole point. You now have the power to look at a page full of numbers and not see confusion. You can see insight. You can find the story. You can tell the story.
You've just taken this huge leap from just seeing numbers to actually understanding them. So I guess there's only one question left to ask. Now that you have the toolkit, what story are you going to go find first?